promotes himself as a peacemaker, has failed in his bid to win the Nobel Peace Prize. The Norwegian Nobel Committee has instead picked Venezuela's María Corina Machado, recognizing her for her fight to bring democracy in the country. Now, Machado dedicated her Nobel Peace Prize to the people of Venezuela and also the U.S. President Donald Trump for his decisive support for her country and the pro-democracy movement. Interestingly, making a final pitch, just hours ahead of that big announcement, the U.S. President Donald Trump had claimed that he ended 8 military conflicts. Now, has Trump really resolved 8 conflicts or not? A closer look reveals that his claims are actually only half true. While it's true that he did bring some peace in the Israel war, the conflict in the wider region, there are signs and hopes that things could get much better and there could be peace in the region. His claims of mediating a ceasefire between India and Pakistan have already been outrightly rejected by Delhi. Further, his claim of ending the Egypt versus Ethiopia conflict is a real stretch because the country is never really engaged in any armed conflict at all. So while Trump found some success in Gaza, even there were attacks that were reported after the peace deal had been finalized as well. Also, it's important to note how the dates come in as well, because Trump actually could not have technically won the Nobel Peace Prize this year, as the deadline to file nomination for the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize ended on the 31st of January, just 11 days after he assumed office. So when asked about whether Trump's campaign-like activity influenced the deliberations within the Nobel Committee, the chairman of the panel actually said that their decisions are only based on the work and will of Alfred Nobel.
In the long history of the Nobel Peace Prize, I think this committee have seen any type of campaign, media attention. We receive thousands and thousands of letters every year of people wanting to say what for them leads to peace. This committee sits in a room filled with the portraits of all laureates, and that room is filled with both courage and integrity. So we base only our decision on the work and the will of Alfred Nobel.
So, all right, we have reactions coming in from the U.S. President. Donald Trump reacting to missing out on the Nobel Peace Prize this year, claiming that he had extended assistance to the awardee, Venezuelan opposition leader María Machado, on multiple occasions. He also, in fact, went on to say that the winner, the Nobel Peace Prize winner, actually called him and accepted the prize in honor of him. Listen in.
So the person who actually got the Nobel Prize called me and said, I'm accepting this in honor of you because you really deserved it. That was a very nice thing to do. I didn't say then give it to me, though. I think she might have. She was very nice, and I've been helping her along the way. They need a lot of help in Venezuela. It's a basic disaster. So, and you could also say it was given out for 24, and I was running for office in 24. All of the transactions that we did in terms of closing, but there are those that say we did so much that they should have done it, but I don't take. I'm happy because I saved millions of lives, many millions of lives. And speaking of somebody that saves lives, don't ever play golf with it, because Keegan Bradley just walked in, one of the greatest golfers in the world, the captain of the Ryder Cup. And man, I'll tell you, you did a good job. You almost came back. I turned on. I said, I sort of turned off. It wasn't looking good. And then a little while later, I turned on. I said, you guys might make that would have been the miracle. What a great job.
Senior consulting editor Srinjoy Chaudhary on the broadcast with us. And Srinjoy, is there any bitterness in Trump's tone now that he speaks about missing out on the Nobel Peace Prize, or does the hope still stay alive because the closing date was just 11 days after he took office, so he still has next year?
Yes, he can always look forward to next year, and as has been said before, the fact that Corina Machado called him and said, you deserve the prize more than I do, is a kind of consolation prize for him. He has not got the Nobel Prize in Peace, but he has a consolation prize from the ultimate winner of the Nobel Prize. So that's something that President Trump can dwell on. But it must be said that he has spoken about ending 8 wars. It's not very clear whether he actually has done that with 8 wars. But yes, as far as Gaza is concerned, he has certainly played an important role, and perhaps the Nobel Committee will look at it next year. But as far as Gaza is concerned, even there, as you rightly said, that at this point there are several things that have to be worked out. Yes, there is a ceasefire. Yes, the Israelis have moved their troops back. Yes, people are streaming in. Yes, food will arrive. But what happens to the future? Will there be a peace authority or a peace board? Will Hamas reject it? Will Hamas return all the weapons? These are things that still have to be worked out. There have been peace efforts in the past. It looked like they have succeeded.
But even before that, Trump really pitched in and said that he deserves the Nobel Peace Prize, isn't it? Quite a unique situation. We've not seen a world leader make so many grand announcements about wanting the Nobel Peace Prize. So just stay with us just a moment. I'll come back to you. Just want to play out for our viewers, because after this snub by the Nobel Committee, the White House also issued a statement and in fact accused the panel of putting politics over peace. You just heard Trump speak about missing out on the Nobel Peace Prize, and he said that the winner called him, and he claimed that he wasn't really doing all this for the Nobel Peace Prize and instead was doing that to save lives. But that was completely in contrast with what the White House was saying, because that statement added that President Trump will continue to make peace deals, lauding him as a leader who is also a humanitarian, and saying that it is actually the Nobel Committee that has brought in politics into its decision. So even though Trump did not actually win the Nobel Peace Prize, the Russian President Vladimir Putin has also come in with all praises for him, hailing his leadership. He went on to say that there have been several instances where the Nobel Committee has actually awarded the Peace Prize to those who did nothing for peace. Also, Trump took to Truth Social very quickly to also thank Putin for his kind words.
There have been cases when the Nobel Prize Committee gave the Peace Prize to people who did nothing for peace. And in my opinion, those decisions damaged the prize's authority. And I don't know whether the current US president is worthy of the prize, but he really is doing a lot to resolve the complicated issues of today that have persisted for years and for decades, the difficult crises that exist. And it is the case with the crisis in Ukraine. He's genuinely striving to find a resolution.